Hey guys, Nestle here, and today we're back with another YouTube video. Today we have Kurapika from Hunter x Hunter and Seras Victoria from Hellsing. If you enjoy this video, dislike and subscribe, and yeah, let's just get into this video. For strength attack potency, Kurapika was easily able to damage Uvogin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, who is capable of taking attacks that can destroy tanks with little difficulty whatsoever. In fact, he's even laughing at the fact that he's even compared to a tank. And with his scarlet eyes, he was easily capable of torturing Uvogin, and was also capable of restraining Cruel Lucifer. This is the same Cruel Lucifer that was able to absolutely slap up Hisoka in a fight, and it's the same Hisoka who is capable of beating Bonaliv. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that way either. And he was capable of creating a large crater with a single attack, which is the equivalent of around 2 kilotons of TNT, which is a multi-city block level feat. Seras Victoria, meanwhile, is capable of crushing a skull with close to no difficulty, which is a wall level feat. Her weapon, the Harkona is, again I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is also capable of destroying tanks. However, her best attack potency feat is when she becomes a true vampire and fights the captain, and the captain is able to take hits from Walter's wires and was not really phased by them at all. These are the same wires that are able to tear apart Alucard, several buildings, and the entire city block with, I wouldn't say not close to much difficulty, but he did it quite, effortlessly. So for us, a better attack potency, even if we were to say that Walter Sidornes had city block level attack potency, and therefore Seras Victoria does as well, Kurapika with the Scarlet Eyes would still scale above that, so yeah, the attack potency point here goes to Kurapika. For speed, Hunter x Hunter doesn't really have that many great speed feats. Kurapika was able to completely blitz Uvogin, who is capable of catching a point-blank bullet with his mouth, and this would then calculate out to over 4,000 miles per hour, and he was much faster than that in the Scarlet Eyes. Seras Victoria, meanwhile, as a true vampire, is comparable to the Captain, who is comparable to Alucard. And Alucard, as we determined in the first Alucard vs Dio video, which, well, yeah, that video had a fair bit of inaccuracies, the speed feat still stands. He was capable of dodging 33 bullets, and these weren't just regular bullets, they were special ones from Van Winkle. And this would then therefore calculate out to 83,000 miles per hour. So even if Scarlet Eyes Kurapika is over 10 times faster than Uvogin, which doesn't seem to be that far of a stretch to think about it, he would still be almost twice as slow as Seras Victoria, so the speed flight here would go to Seras Victoria. As for durability, Kurapika should be comparable to his attack potency, he's able to take hits from the same people that he's been able to damage. However, it's a good thing to note that Kurapika has insanely high pain tolerance, as her arm was completely shattered in the fight with Uvogin, and yet he was completely unfazed and was still able to keep going. Seras Victoria, meanwhile, was able to take a beatdown from the captain, who, as we said, is comparable to Alucard and Walter, so yeah, the attack potency is much the same as the durability, so I'd give the durability point here to Seras Victoria, Kurapika, but Seras Victoria does have something later on we'll talk in the ability section that helps her give her the edge in terms of durability goes. For her abilities, weaponry and technique, Kurapika is a fantastic fighter and a great martial artist and has enhanced senses. He's also a master of Nen, which means that he can conceal his presence, make his durability and attack potency increase, and see other auras. However, his two most prolific abilities is his ability to conjure items and create them out of thin air, and also his Scarlet Eyes ability, which amplifies pretty much his strength and speed and durability by quite a fair bit. And with the Scarlet Eyes, he becomes a master each form of Nen, when typically you would only be a master of one at that. With this, he can manipulate auras and essentially take Nen from people. If he were to trap them, he can strengthen inanimate objects and just create them as well as manipulating them too. He does this with his chain ability, as that is typically what he's most seen using. He also has several different types of chains that all do different things. The Holy Chain is what's used to heal him, as he can do that when his eyes are scarlet. And he also has the Chain Jail ability, which essentially traps the opponent and they can't escape it, or is nigh unbreakable as it's described. However, it can't be used against anyone who isn't a Phantom Troop member, and if he does use it against anyone that's not a Phantom Troop member, he'll die. The Steel Chain essentially stabs the opponent, when it connects with them and steals their nen and aura. He also has the dowsing chain, which helps track and find several different objects. The judgment chain is sent through a person's chest and into their heart and wraps around the opposition's heart. And it's set to 2 conditions, and if they don't follow them, then their heart will be crushed and they will of course die. The stealth dolphin chain allows Kurapika to install nen that he has stolen from others into another person. And Emperor's Time. And Emperor's Time essentially gives a massive statistic boost to all of Kurapika's abilities, making all of them as powerful as they could possibly be. Also, you can't see certain nen-based attacks unless you know nen yourself. So, given all of this, it is quite, easy to say that Kurapika is really quite versatile and also has a number of great different abilities. Seras Victoria, meanwhile, is really good at hand-to-hand takedowns, as she used to be a police officer and really good at locking people in place. She also has multiple guns and bazookas, I guess, for lack of a better term. They can deal significant big damage, as we said with the Harkonnes earlier in the video. She also has regeneration, as she is a vampire, shadow manipulation, and she can also sense where people are. She can fly and also see through illusions, so for who has the better abilities and who's more versatile, for us, the better abilities, it's kind of subjective considering Kurapika is really broken. However, given the regeneration, the flight, and the manipulation that Seras Victoria can do, it's definitely quite comparable to or there's quite a debate to whose abilities are better. As to who's more versatile, I think it's obvious Kurapika is. So, for the abilities point, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to give it to Seras Victoria. And the techniques point, or rather the versatility point, would go to Kurapika. As for weaknesses, as we explained earlier, Kurapika's chain drill only works on Phantom Troop members, and if he uses it on anyone else, he will die. And well, this does mean that it's kind of null and void. It doesn't really matter in the fight. He'll probably avoid from using it. He has other chains he can use after all. He can only use his Scarlet Eyes ability for 3 hours, so if Seras Victoria can drag the fight out that long, then it'll either deal significant damage to Kurapika or he'll be forced into not using it, which nerfs him for a significant bit. He also, whenever he uses the Emperor of Time ability, 1 year is dropped off his life, so unless Seras can make him spam the ability for whatever reason, then it's not going to do that much in terms of the fight itself. As for Seras Victoria, her only really main weakness is that she was gentle by nature before and went completely bloodlusted when her eyes turned red and became a vampire, or a true vampire rather. But towards the end of the series, when she actually does become a true vampire instead of just an incomplete one, then that weakness doesn't really become a thing anymore. So I'd probably have to give the weakness point to Kurapika because obviously, apart from what we just said for Seras, there's not much that she really has going for her that makes her vulnerable. So yeah, Kurapika is much more vulnerable than Seras Victoria. So who wins the fight? From what I've gathered, Kurapika is more powerful, more durable, and more versatile. Seras Victoria is faster, has the better abilities, and is less vulnerable. So who wins the fight? It seems close, on paper, from what we've got here. But it's not really when you think about it, considering, yes, Seras Victoria can attack from afar with her shadows, so can Kurapika with his chains, and considering that if he creates the chains himself, Seras Victoria can't really see them, that's obviously a big point to Kurapika. And with Seras's regeneration, Kurapika can just heal himself with the Holy Chain, so that advantage isn't as big. Granted, the regeneration happens subconsciously, and Kurapika has to actively do or use the Holy Chain, but he can still heal himself when Seras can also do so as well. The main thing that Seras Victoria has over Kurapika is that she can fly, and the speed advantage as well, but given the fact that unless she uses physical force, her weapons aren't going to do much. I mean, think about it, her Harkonnes was designed to destroy tanks, and Yugovin took a tank that could destroy tanks with absolutely no difficulty, and Kurapika slapped him around, so Seras would have to use physical strength to beat Kurapika. And with her speed, she could definitely get in and do so, but given Kurapika's insane pain tolerance and regeneration with the Holy Chain, it's going to be significantly difficult for Seras to do so. And Kurapika's attack potency outscales Seras Victoria's durability. I forgot to mention in the weaknesses section that Seras is more vulnerable to holy weapons. This doesn't mean that only holy weapons can kill her, since we've seen in the series of Hellsing itself that vampires can be killed just with enough force. So, with Kurapika's attack potency far outscaling Seras Victoria's durability, it would only be a matter of time before Seras would get in a big hit, or Kurapika would get in a big hit on Seras, and eventually win the fight from there. The Judgment Chain, he typically tends to end fights, or end several big ones with that. Of course, that wouldn't work on Seras, because even if it does pierce her heart and kill her, you know, she can just regenerate from it. But given that, as I said, his attack potency far outscales Seras' durability, his durability is far above Seras' max attack potency, and he can heal or take the hits that Seras can give out, while also being able to attack from afar with, like Seras. I'd have to give the overall point to Kurapika. And while Seras can sense auras and can sense where people are, Kurapika can hide where his aura is, so that point just kind of that point doesn't really, like, it cancels out for Seras, and that's the kind of feel for most of the abilities that Seras has. So yeah, the overall winner for this fight would be Kurapika. If you enjoy this video, dislike and subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.